What's up, everybody? Jimmy Faluca reporting with Frank and Nick. How's it going, fellas?
Good. We had
We had some technical difficulties for the first time ever on the show,
Yep.
Frank. So,
they pulled the plug on us.
yeah, because we were talking
Technology.
politics before we started talking about wrestling. So maybe the candidates that we aren't so favorable to pulled the plug on us. Who knows?
The NSA is watching.
Yeah, the NSA is watching. Fuck them.
Damn Hillary Clinton.
All right, let's get right into it, fellas. Fastlane, not that good of a show. Aside from maybe one or two matches, the show wasn't all that good. That's really all I have to say about the show as a whole. How about you, Frank?
Well, like I was saying before, the whole pay-per-view was pretty lackluster, except for AJ and Jericho. You know, they put on a great performance. And the main event, of course, we got the predictable results.
No, of course.
And even Brock is so strong, he could seriously hurt either Roman Reigns or Ambrose legit. But I don't see. We were talking me and Nick before. Just fast forwarding to WrestleMania 32. First of all, that match, Triple H and Roman Reigns, that's gonna be on third to last.
Well, we're gonna get into the WrestleMania card as the show progresses, but so you say Fastlane was lackluster. Nick, what about you?
4 out of 10.
Nick's on his Bret Hart shit. 4 out of 10. All right.
Actually,
Now let's get into some more newsworthy things like Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon is now back in the WWE, and tons of speculation on what's going to go down and all that. I have no problem with him and The Undertaker having a match. I personally think it doesn't make any sense, any logical sense whatsoever. But I will take Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker over John Cena versus The Undertaker 10 out of 10 days. Because, in my mind, John Cena beating The Undertaker is like Justin Bieber beating John Wayne in a shootout.
oh my God.
And I'm sorry, I don't care what type of WWE apologist comes my way. You will never be able to convince me that John Cena is on the same level of The Undertaker. Not in terms of a worker, not in terms of a character, not in terms of earning the respect of the fans as well as his peers. No one has to lie through their teeth to talk up The Undertaker. They say it because it's legit, and he earned that respect. The only other guy I can think of that has that kind of respect, or had that kind of respect from his peers and the fans, was Andre. And I'm sorry. Taker's here, Cena's here, maybe here. I don't care what kind of bogus numbers they try to pull up in terms of merchandise and all that. They didn't have to bust out 10,000 different colored shirts a year for The Undertaker to be a big merchandise guy, because he always sold merchandise. Taker was always a high seller, and he was always a good seller. So, that aside, I have no doubt Taker and Shane will probably have Vince will probably spin it a certain way where Taker will have to accept the match, because based on The Undertaker's character, especially at this stage in his career, I just don't see him willingly being Vince McMahon's lapdog. Frank, what do you have to say?
Well, I think this was thrown together at the last minute. Maybe it's true that Cena is hurt. He's not going to be able to come back. So they threw this together at the last minute. It's no doubt they're going to put on a good show. Shane always delivers. He does crazy bumps. And it's a hell of a sell. I can't see it not being a decent match. But who knows, man? Who knows how it's going to end? Now, I was talking with Nick. The one little thing is it's a hell of a sell, so it's going to be hard for outside interference.
Unless the lights go out, they come back on, and Taker gets a baseball bat upside his head.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I would lose my shit. Although I know it's not going to happen. But if that were to happen, oh, you guys would have to restrain me from jumping up and down like a 3-year-old on Christmas morning.
Well, let's talk about this logically if we can. It's not credible for a non-wrestler like Shane to come back after 6 years and to beat the Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell,
Straight up, absolutely not.
or anywhere, any match.
No, I agree with you 150%, Frank.
Here,
You're hearing this from listen, so that way everyone can see. Yeah, that's how diehard of a fan I am of The Undertaker. You really think I think Shane McMahon should be allowed to pin him? No. But I am also in the ABC mindset. Anybody but Cena.
hold
I
on.
don't give a shit. And I know that some people get annoyed at me that I bring him up, but I also look at the company that we're discussing and who they have run with for the last 10 years. And yes, I do believe that Vince McMahon would sacrifice his greatest character to ultimately the greatest hypocrite in the history of professional wrestling.
Well, listen, hold on a minute.
The only way Shane wins is if there's interference.
Yeah, but hold
And
on.
I don't see the Wyatts doing it. I don't see Brock doing it. I don't see Cena interfering because it'll make him look like a heel. And if there's one thing WWE will never do is they'll never turn him heel. To me, this match makes no logical sense whatsoever. But the only way Shane should get the win is if Sting were to interfere on his behalf, and that sets up for WrestleMania 33.
Oh, hold on a second, and then you guys can talk. Everybody's overlooking the biggest part of the storyline is that Shane has some incredible blackmail over Vince.
Or he's holding something.
He has it
from something from the past.
Yeah, maybe it's pictures of him and Shawn Michaels.
Honestly, if you really want to get down to a logical standpoint, I think I have an idea of what Shane was referencing about when he bailed Vince out, because anyone that's paid attention to any of the rumors that have come out and what's been confirmed by many people, Vince didn't want to go edgy in 1997. Shane had to fight his dad in order for them to go to an edgier product, because apparently the discussion was Austin's brought this up, Mick Foley's brought this up, Jim Cornette has brought this up, plenty of wrestlers have brought this up, where they have seen or heard Shane McMahon arguing with his dad, saying, "Dad, we need to do something or we're going to lose everything." And then what ended up happening?
Well, it was a culmination of things. The Click, before the Nash and Hall went to WCW, were having private meetings with Vince about having more realistic wrestlers. So it was a culmination of things, and then
yeah, but Shane, I agree with you 100% because that is exactly what went on. But it was also Shane McMahon pressuring his dad, telling him, "Listen, we got to do something, otherwise we're going to be in a lot more trouble than what we're in." And
Right.
they were in a lot of trouble in 1997.
Right. Well, maybe it was
in the middle of getting their asses kicked.
Maybe it was all
severely by WCW.
Oh yeah, maybe it was all the boys, going to Shane, because he's like more in tune with them, and they were telling him, go to your father, please. You got to say something.
Shane has always seemed to have his finger on the pulse more than his father.
Okay.
But before we continue,
what does Nick have to say about this?
Nick, what do you have to say about the whole Shane McMahon Undertaker thing?
Well, I do think he's not going to be the one to. He could not wrestle Undertaker. He could get an out from somebody. He could have something up his sleeve in terms of probably Balor Club. If they debut him at WrestleMania to help Shane get the win over the Undertaker, but that whole outside interference thing.
Yeah, because it's a Hell in a Cell.
Because it's Hell in a Cell, and anyone can interfere at any time. But yes, that is something else that has been thrown around. Possibly the Balor Club intervening. I personally would have loved to see Finn Balor face The Undertaker and have Undertaker put him over. Because think about it from this. Now, you know me. I don't feel The Undertaker should be losing at WrestleMania, period. I never felt he should have lost the streak.
Well,
if the streak was still alive, I'd be calling for him to win.
But yeah.
If the streak is dead, it doesn't matter anymore. So, from a logical standpoint and looking at things long term, You know, because this is something, and this is something that will also lead into the Brock Lesnar Dean Ambrose discussion. If Undertaker was wrestling someone like a Finn Balor, who I look at him and I say to myself, this guy's money. And I think a lot of us here would agree. Finn Balor has a huge upside. He's got a good look. He's got a character that people easily could gravitate towards. He's damn good in the ring. He has good matches with everybody he wrestles with. Regardless of what anybody on the page says, people know who the fuck he is.
Well, you got to think about it like Vince thinks about it. You know, he'll say...
My brain isn't that small, Frank.
Huh?
My brain ain't that small.
I know, but...
Because if you really look at Vince McMahon's history, is he really a creative genius?
No.
Not necessarily, and I'll tell you how.
He pulls things out sometimes.
What Vince McMahon has always been the best at...
He did create The Undertaker, James.
Other people's ideas, making them his own and making them better. That has always been his M.O. What really is WrestleMania? It was mooching off of what Starrcade was. What was the Attitude Era? It was mooching off of what ECW was.
Well,
if you really think about it.
In his defense, he did create The Undertaker, James.
No, look, listen. He did create a lot of great characters, and the three best characters he created was The Undertaker, Kane, and Goldust. I'm sure you're wondering, where's The Rock, where's Stone Cold in all this discussion? Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin was just being himself. This wasn't Vince McMahon guiding him on what to say. The Rock was just being himself with the volume turned up. You know, Vince didn't come up with Austin 316. Steve Williams did that on his own. Smell what The Rock is cooking. Dwayne Johnson came up with that on his own. See, back in those days, the wrestlers were allowed to think for themselves, and they were allowed to be themselves. You know, I was listening to a recent interview with Jesse the Body Ventura, and they were asking him about the wrestling today, and he says he hates it. That's because you could tell just by listening to any interview that any of these guys cut, with his words, with the exception of maybe one or two people, you can tell that they don't believe a single word that they are saying when they're in front of the camera. He said, in my day, you had to make yourself. No scriptwriter was coming to Jesse the Body telling him what to say. No scriptwriter was going to the Macho Man Randy Savage telling him what to say, especially in the NWA. You think anyone was going to tell Dusty Rhodes how to talk like Dusty Rhodes? You think anyone was going to tell the Nature Boy Ric Flair, happy birthday, Nate? You think anyone was going to tell Ric Flair how to talk like Ric Flair? Of course not. They've overly scripted the entire program simply because they're a politically correct PG product when they don't understand that you can guide the wrestlers on what to say. Bullet point. My friend Christian has said many times, just give them bullet points and let them speak from here, because then the viewer would be able to take more from it. Because when Austin was cutting that Austin 316 promo, there was no dead look in his eyes like he was trying to memorize something on a piece of paper. He was speaking from here and from here, and that's why his promos, you know, came through. You look at the way Paul Heyman cuts promos these days. They'll tell him who he's working against. He's always working with Brock. They tell him who he's working against, where it's happening. Go sell me tickets. That's what Dusty used to say to Jim Cornette. Nassau Coliseum, the Midnight Express is fighting Dusty Rhodes and Sting. Go out there and sell me tickets. And if the arena was full, Jim Cornette got a thumbs up. And if the arena was 2/3 empty, his name was scratched off the next card.
Well, at the very least, they should assign maybe one or two writers to each performer. You know, so
I don't even think that, Frank. I personally just think that there's too many writers. You know,
right.
Speaking as someone that knows a lot of cooks, knows a lot of chefs, most in my own family. If you have too many cooks in the kitchen, the food's going to get fucked up. If you have too many creative juices going without a good filter, it's not going to be good. You look at the way Triple H books NXT. It's Triple H and maybe two or three other people, and NXT is mint. I never have any problem with it. The only issue I take with NXT is that they haven't given Enzo and Cass the tag team championships. Other than that, the show's been flawless for me since I started watching. And I started watching during the first live special before WrestleMania 30. When it was, Nick, wasn't it Sami Zayn versus Cesaro in their final match?
That was a glorious match right there.
Yes, it was. And the main event was Bo Dallas defending his NXT title against Neville. And look at what both those two poor bastards are doing. They're doing absolutely nothing. I mean, they completely wasted Bo Dallas, who did have a lot of potential. And Neville, can't say enough about that poor motherfucker, the talent he has. But I feel bad. We've gone off on a bad tangent. Undertaker and Shane McMahon, I have no clue what the hell they're going to do. I cannot wait to hear what Undertaker has to say. That's the only thing I'm going to be watching on Monday. And once The Undertaker is gone, I will be taking my remote and changing the channel. Because I have no interest in this next match that we're going to discuss, which is Roman Reigns versus Triple H. And the reason I have no interest in this match is because, number one, we know the finish. That's number one. Number two, we are also aware that neither one of these guys is universally over with the crowd. The people are cheering for Triple H because he's beating up Roman Reigns. You could put anybody in Triple H's role, they're going to get those cheers. And the reason they're getting those cheers is because the fans resent Roman Reigns. And why do they resent Roman Reigns? Because he has been shoved down their throats. They've been pushing him on the fans rather than letting the poor bastard, who it's not his fault. Listen, you're hearing this from me. The guy that's been saying for months that this guy's got to turn fucking heel. It's not Roman Reigns' fault. He's just going out there doing his job. So I can't fault him for that. What I do fault is the creative behind this. Because if it's obvious by the time you get to January that your babyface isn't getting over, and you continue on that course, the result is yours to take. The way I see it is this: for anyone that wants to blame the audience for the bad reactions, the fans have been telling you that they're sick of this guy for months. He gets cheered once in Philadelphia for punching Vince in the mouth, but that automatically means he's over? Come on now. Let's be realistic. Daniel Bryan was over. CM Punk was over. Dean Ambrose is currently over. That's over. Not where you have to. Want to know how you can tell that a guy's over, Frank, Nick? This is how you can tell a guy's over. When you don't have to reach for certain shows that he got cheered at.
Now, right. Those guys you mentioned, what do they all have in common? They all had to fight uphill. They had an uphill battle. Roman Reigns, Cena, they never have an uphill battle. They're at the top of the mountain already. All they're doing is kicking down rocks and kicking everybody down, and you know nobody's ever going to get up there.
No, and I say this all the time, when it comes to Roman Reigns, because I've seen his promos from FCW when he was a heel. Fucking guy's incredible. The guy's got money written all over him. The problem is, the fans are not stupid. The fans aren't stupid. They recognize when someone's being forced on them, and they don't want to be told who to like. This is to educate anybody out there that's actually going to pay attention to this video. If you want to know why the fans are booing Roman Reigns, it is very simple. The fans don't want to be told who to like. It is that simple. Stone Cold Steve Austin did not become the monstrously over anti-hero that he did because Vince McMahon told the crowd to cheer for him. No, if anything, Vince was trying to convince the crowd to not cheer for Steve Austin.
Right, but that's
and the proof of that is the Monday Night Wars DVD that came out in 2004. JR himself said, "We were trying to make Stone Cold the most hated man in wrestling, but every week you just heard more and more cheering. The dirtier he got, the more he got cheered." And this was my favorite quote from that entire interview. "The consumer made the decision for us, and they made the right decision, as they always do, really."
Right, and nobody wants to boo John Wayne, he said.
No.
And now there'll be those people that say, well, Stone Cold was force-fed to the people, but he was booked fighting an uphill battle every segment, every week.
But then they'll make the argument that that's what they're doing with Roman Reigns.
No, he's not. One time, this Monday, because he had to get written out of the story because he had a deviated septum?
The point where I think that we're all trying to make here is, don't insult your viewers' intelligence. If they're not behind someone 100% and you continue to go with them, the result is then yours to deal with. You can't get mad at the fans for booing somebody relentlessly, and then when you continue to push them, like, oh, why are you guys booing him so much? Because we were telling you months ago we don't want this, and yet you're still doing it.
Well, like we were talking about with Nick. Fast forward to that moment in WrestleMania 32, when Roman Reigns does win, and he raises the belt. First of all, Triple H is gonna get cheered during the match. He's gonna get booed,
Yes.
and boos are gonna rain down when Roman Reigns gets the 1, 2, 3.
And the funny thing is, the last couple of Raws, they have not been in the quote smart cities.
Mhm.
That's what makes me laugh. The last couple of Raws, even Fastlane, was Fastlane in a smart city? No, it was in fucking Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's not known as a smart city.
And as a result of all this, they're gonna have to put that match on third to last, behind Brock and Ambrose, and they're gonna close out the show with Undertaker and Shane.
The only way I don't see Reigns is closing the show out.
No way, James. You can't close WrestleMania out with booze pouring down.
They don't care, Frank.
No, I think they're smart enough. The show's gonna close out.
They're not smart enough. They were dumb enough to let this match even happen. You know what they should have went with? They should have went with Reigns Brock 2.
Right.
The card with Reigns as the heel and Brock as the babyface, and you have Roman Reigns go over clean. Then Reigns takes the title at SummerSlam. Rollins return. Look, here you go. Here's your Here's Roman Reigns' road to becoming a monster. This is what I would have did with him. He loses at Fastlane, joins up with Triple H, but he's in the path of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar wants him again. Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar. Then at SummerSlam, Roman Reigns wins the WWE title. Seth Rollins returns. What do you think Rollins is going to want? He wants his belt back. Triple H says, listen, Rollins, you know you're my guy, but when you went down, I had to go with Roman. So what we're going to do is at Survivor Series, you two fight, and whoever wins, I'll run with. Obviously, Triple H will screw Rollins. Reigns will keep the belt until WrestleMania. Rollins gets a match with Triple H to where if he wins, he's the #1 contender. Ambrose wins the Royal Rumble, and at WrestleMania 33, you have a Shield three-way for the title. And all three guys are credible. Now, Nick, how fast did I just do that?
That was pretty quick, man.
Now, could you buy a Frank, both of you, tell me, could you buy a WrestleMania main event with the 3 Shield guys and a three-way for the belt?
It's 2 years in the making.
There you go. Now, if I could do that in a matter of 5 minutes, and think about this, all 3 of those guys I like, none of them are my favorite, but yet they're in the main event of WrestleMania. It ain't all about what I want. It's all about what's best for the business.
And whenever those guys are in the ring together, for some reason, it's magic.
Oh, of course. I mean, I look back to Elimination Chamber 2014, when it was the Shield versus the Wyatts for the first time. When those two teams got in the ring, before the bell even rang, the fans were chanting, "This is awesome." They wanted to see that match. And think about this. This match didn't have 10,000 kickouts of finishing moves, didn't have any nostalgia in it. It was just 2 badass teams who the fans legitimately believed in, kicking the shit out of each other. And guess what? As far as I'm concerned, that should have been a WrestleMania 30 match. Not what they ended up doing with both teams, because if you look back on it,
Yeah.
the Shield ended up being wasted on Kane and the New Age and the Old Age Outlaws, and Wyatt ended up doing the J.O.B. Cena. Now imagine if at WrestleMania 30, instead of those 2 matches happening, the Wyatts and the Shield would have fought inside Hell in a Cell.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine that being added on to Daniel Bryan and Triple H, and then the 3-way we ended up getting for the belt? How great would that WrestleMania have been? Even with the streak ending, which was, to me, was wrestling sacrilege. I'm sorry, it always will be, Frank. It'll always be something with me that I say to myself, you know what? Shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened.
Oh, well, let's talk about Brock and the Dean.
Oh, please, let's. Well, first, before we get into that, I want Nick's opinion on the Roman Reigns Triple H match. Nick, how do you think this is going to go, and do you want to see this match? Do you not want to see this match? Are you indifferent? Please tell us.
kind of different, but I'm really wanting to see another WrestleMania 13 moment. Possibly you turn Roman Reigns heel towards the end of the match, while turning Triple H face, just so it doesn't confuse the ever-living crap out of everybody that's a fan of NXT, and they go to watch Raw every week. Like, okay, so why is he a heel here and the baby face before every like special NXT?
See, but that's something that they've been doing for months, Nick. And to your point, yes, it does make no sense that Triple H is greeted as a conquering hero on NXT, but on the main roster they make him out to be the heel. I agree with both of you.
It's two different realities. That's what it is.
Of course, because NXT is the reality of what pro wrestling should be, and Raw is the reality of what pro wrestling is.
But this Dean versus Brock match, it's a good stipulation to add in as a street fight, because it's the only way Dean Ambrose could hang in there with Brock.
And to me, there's only one outcome. Dean Ambrose has to go over.
No. They could put on a hell of a performance, but Brock has to win. I mean,
how does Brock have to win? What does Brock gain from winning this match? And more, what does Dean gain from winning this match? He gains nothing.
Because
that's been my point from the beginning. I listened back, Frank, to the CM Punk podcast. Okay, I wrestled The Undertaker, he leaves. I wrestle The Rock, he leaves. I wrestle Brock Lesnar, he leaves. And this quote is very important to this discussion. My stock in the eyes of the casual viewer is dropping, and I'm not going to be able to raise that stock by putting on kick-ass matches.
But in this case, if Dean,
I don't care if Dean has to drop the entire AT&T Stadium on this month.
And he will, but
Brock can't win all the time.
Well, that's the thing. He's not going to get.
What's the difference between Brock and Cena? Other than that, Brock is a legit badass. There really is no difference.
Brock is not going to lose until Roman Reigns pins him. That's what they're saving it for, and that's what the whole ending the streak was about.
And if that's what they wasted on, then that's fucking disgraceful.
It's passing the torch. It's passing the momentum on to the next guy.
Yeah, but
I know.
It's to me, if that is their plan, then they're ridiculously stupid, because Roman Reigns isn't over. I mean, they've been trying to push this guy since December of 2014. They've been trying to push this guy to the moon since December of 2014. We're now in February of 2016, and it still ain't fucking working. How much more? At the very least, and no, I am not saying Cena's better than him, because he isn't. Roman Reigns is a better athlete than Cena. But at the very least, at the beginning of Cena's run, he was over. When he made his debut on Raw, that was a huge fucking pop. No one could ever take that away from him. But the fact is, Roman ain't getting that kind of love.
Roman should be portrayed as an arrogant...
Yes, the arrogant jock who knows he's good and maybe is a little too good for his own good.
Right, and the way he has that smirk, his suave demeanor. The ladies love him.
To me, there's nothing wrong with Roman Reigns being a credible heel. And when I say credible, meaning that he wins matches clean. To me, the best villains are credible, because you want to see them get beat so badly. Why do you think so many people couldn't stand Triple H? I mean, look back on it. Did Triple H have to cheat to beat Cactus Jack? No. Did he have to cheat to beat fucking Shawn Michaels? No. Did he have to cheat to beat Chris Benoit? No. Did he have to cheat to beat Kevin Nash inside Hell in a Cell? No. Did he have to cheat to beat Shawn Michaels inside Hell in a Cell?
That's called favorable booking.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is, no, I agree with you. Triple H's hand was in the book, writing shit up. But the point I'm trying to make is Triple H was a very credible villain, and we don't have enough of those. You know, there is at least 2 or 3 people that are villains that right now that are villains that I think should be credible. Seth Rollins should be a credible villain, but he isn't. Bray Wyatt, don't get me fucking started on that.
Yes, he should be the most evil guy in the
Bray Wyatt should be one of the most built-up guys you have. This is a guy that beat Daniel Bryan clean as a fucking bell. has the only pinfall victory over Roman Reigns. You would think that they would want this guy to be credible. But every chance they get, Bray Wyatt gets that shovel shoved up his ass. And people want to tell me that WWE doesn't bury their own guys. The fucking Wyatts are buried 10,000 feet under. What shred of credibility do the Wyatt family have?
They're done. They're done. After losing to Big Show, Kane, and Ryback. And the other credible heel is Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Well, they wasted no time. When he got that clean victory over Cena, they wasted no time announcing that rematch, which was, I think, 3 minutes after they cut to black.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
And then, of course, they made the genius fucking decision of making him tap out. And then they wonder why they have no top-level stars, because they take all these young guys and they feed them to the establishment. But back to the original point. Dean Ambrose has to win this match. He gains absolutely nothing from losing. He does not get a rub by working with Brock Lesnar because, yes, Seth Rollins got a rub by working with Brock Lesnar, right? Punk got a rub working with Brock Lesnar, right? No, they didn't. You get rubs by winning. Did The Undertaker get a rub by working with Jimmy Snuka? Yeah, because he won. Did he get a rub working with Hulk Hogan? Yeah, because he won.
But it's also what they do right after WrestleMania.
Yeah, and guess what? Nothing in the WWE's recent history shows that after you lose to a big name that they have plans for you afterwards. Nothing in their recent history points to the fact that they have plans for people after working with a big name. Because they don't.
Yeah.
Look at Punk. Punk went from working with Brock Lesnar to working with Ryback and then working with the New Age Outlaws. Yeah, there was a lot of long-term planning with that one. It's ridiculous. And I say this all the time, and I so much look forward to when the WWE can no longer use The Undertaker, can no longer use Brock Lesnar, can no longer use Triple H, can no longer use The Rock, can no longer use John Cena and Randy Orton, because once those names are no longer an option, what do they do then? Exactly. You have to build up guys that are credible in their place, because eventually The Undertaker's going to be done. He's going to be done. Eventually, Brock's not going to want to do this shit no more. The Rock is not going to want to make appearances anymore. Eventually, at some point, John Cena's going to want a life again, and he's going to want to retire.
Well, we could look forward to him coming back for WrestleManias.
The point I'm trying to make is you have to make new top-level stars. They have none. They have not a single top-level star that the fans give a fuck about. And no, Roman Reigns doesn't count because all they want from him is to see him get his ass kicked. And if you don't believe me, just watch last Monday Night Raw.
Right now, what you described, the only guy is Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose is the most popular guy they have right now. You don't want him losing. I just have never understood how things that apply in the past in terms of being over all of a sudden doesn't apply to now. It's ridiculous.
But you have to have a little optimism. With all these losses he's had in the last 2 years, he still is relevant.
But you shouldn't tempt fate. You shouldn't tempt fate. They were very fortunate that Daniel Bryan didn't lose any of the steam he had with the way he was booked. They could have gave up on him during the fall of 2013 with the way that fucker was booked. But the fans didn't. They stuck with him because he genuinely connected with them. But does that happen a lot in every generation? No. It only happens once in a generation. And don't think for a second Vince wasn't happy when Bryan had to announce his retirement, because believe me, I agree with Frank 100%. They always looked at him and his fan base as a pain in the ass. They never looked at him as a top-level star and all that nonsense. But I'm sorry. Dean Ambrose has to win. He gains nothing by working with Brock and losing, because what... I'll steal again from Punk's podcast. What you're really telling the fans is that these guys are the real stars and all of us are down here. And when you have this many people out with injuries, you can't afford to do that. You just can't. Dean Ambrose, I don't care what he's got to do. Bring out a fucking Mack truck and crush Brock Lesnar. Use a forklift to force him to keep his shoulders on the mat. I don't care. Brock Lesnar must do the job. And it ain't clean because it's a street fight.
Right.
Victory is what Brock Lesnar got from The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. That's a clean win. A clean win. What Brock Lesnar got from John Cena at SummerSlam, that's a clean win. Not asking for a clean win. I'm saying Dean Ambrose just simply has to get his hand raised. So if he bashes Brock's head in with a fucking lead pipe, that ain't believable? I don't care how big you are. If I hit you upside the head with a lead pipe, you're done.
Well, that's why I think that could be the out for him.
It should be the out. It should be. Dean Ambrose gains nothing from losing. If anything, that makes him even less of a threat. To me, what does it do for Dean Ambrose's career if he has on his resume, I beat Brock Lesnar at a WrestleMania? What does that do for him?
Oh, yeah.
And don't they need guys to be a big deal? Don't they need guys to be taken more seriously? You want to know why Daniel Bryan got over? Want to know why he got over? I'll tell you why. Busaiku knee to John Cena's head, 2013 SummerSlam. You want to know why he got over? Because the fans recognized they're taking him seriously. We can get behind him. It's safe to get behind him. Because how many times did the fans get burned getting behind guys that eventually went nowhere?
Yes.
I mean, it's not that difficult to analyze this stuff. I don't care what anyone says. People analyze football that have never played a single game. People analyze baseball that have never played a single game. Wrestling's no fucking different, no more special than any other form of sport or entertainment out there. Despite what some people think and some people in the business think, professional wrestling is no different than any other form of sport or entertainment out there. No less special, no more special. It can be analyzed. I'm proving it right now. And Dean Ambrose has to win. It's that simple. Dean Ambrose cannot afford to lose. What does it do to Dean Ambrose if he loses? What does it do to him? It hurts him.
It keeps him at the same level, if anything.
Exactly. It keeps him at the same level he's at. We need these guys to break on through to the other side. Thank you, Jim Morrison. We need these guys to break on through to the next level. You need guys like Dean Ambrose to get white fucking hot. You need AJ Styles to stay white fucking hot, which he is. You need Kevin Owens to be a legit badass motherfucker that can go out there, talk shit, and back it up. You need Bray Wyatt to be a serious threat.
He's a joke.
Because if you don't take the guys you have, and I don't mean to cut you off because I know you want to talk. I'm gonna leave it to you after what I have to say here. If you don't take the guys that you have and make them credible and believable, what you're doing is you're telling your audience you should only care about the guys that we tell you to, which is Roman Reigns or John Cena or any of the other schmucks that we bring around every 6 to 7 months. And that does nothing for the business as a whole. If you make Dean Ambrose, you make Bray Wyatt, you make Kevin Owens, Cesaro when he comes back, Seth Rollins when he comes back, if you take
John Cena's coming back.
Huh?
John Cena's going to come back. That's another.
No, I'm already dreading that.
He's going to take somebody's role.
Yeah, of course. But if you take all these guys I just named, all of them, and you make them important, you make them feel special, you make them bigger names, that means the company in general has more star power, which means the company's making more money, which, holy fucking shit, means all these other guys are making more fucking money. Isn't that what this whole fucking business is about? Isn't that what any business is about? Making money? This business is about making money, not just getting your way, which is what Vince McMahon has been trying to do for the last couple of years. He tried it at the Royal Rumble in 2014, didn't fucking work. Tried it at the Royal Rumble last year, didn't fucking work. And I can guarantee you that this year at WrestleMania 32, when Roman Reigns raises his hand in victory and holds the title, like Frank said, like Nick said, he is going to get massively booed out of the building because the fans completely resent the fact that he's been forced in their face. They don't want to be told who to like. Get this through your head. WWE, people that apologize for the company, get this through your head. The fans don't want to be told who the fuck to like. And if you can't understand that, go watch Steve Austin. Go watch The Rock. Because the fans chose Steve Austin. They didn't want Rocky Maivia. So what did they do with Rocky Maivia? They turned him heel, he raised his eyebrow, and now he's the biggest box office draw in the history of Hollywood.
All right. Well, let's speak about making new styles. Let's talk about the Divas division. Sasha Banks and Charlotte.
They give them a spotlight at WrestleMania and they give them time, they'll have a great match. I have no doubt about it.
What do you think? Oh, Nick, what do you think?
We definitely need to start building the four horsewomen. That is what needs to happen in the future. We need a Bailey as soon as we can up to the main roster. But you can have a match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. You could add in Becky Lynch in there, just to have three of the four that are already being built up slightly. And
Do you think Sasha Banks gets a moment at WrestleMania?
Absolutely. Sasha Banks will definitely be the one to leave
WrestleMania. She's really over with the crowd.
No, yeah, absolutely. And even though I'm not a big fan of Sasha Banks, I have no shame in admitting she is very, very talented lady. Very, very talented. My favorite female wrestler right now is Asuka. She's my favorite. But
she's
Sasha
fine.
Banks is massively over right now. Like I said, she ain't one of my favorites, but she's over. You run with what's over. You don't be stupid. You run with who the fans are behind, not who you want them to be behind. Much as I like Becky Lynch, I think she's fucking awesome. The crowd really isn't that behind her. They're behind Sasha. You run with that. That covers WrestleMania based on the matches that we know that are going to happen.
What about AJ Styles at WrestleMania?
More than likely, he'll be facing Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental title. Well, that's what I see happening. Unless they're going to really push this whole Jericho thing. I mean, how many times we got to see them wrestle? You know, they've already wrestled 3 times.
Well, they're friends now. They're friends. They teamed up.
Part of me, yeah, but it's all, to me, that looks like a ploy for Jericho to turn his back on AJ. To me, if they were smart, you know what they would have done? They would have had AJ fight The Miz at Fastlane, and now he fights Jericho at WrestleMania. But if he fights Jericho for a 4th time at WrestleMania, we've seen them wrestle. What more could they possibly do? Don't get me wrong. They have great matches with each other. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But I just think that that's an underutilization of AJ, and it's an underutilization of Jericho. To me. Because it's a match we've already seen. You need to sell 110,000 tickets. And I don't care what anyone says. 110,000 people are not going to show up for the hell of it. They're not going to sell that building out just based on the name WrestleMania. That is not going to happen. They need to... Usually at this point, WrestleMania is sold out, is it not, Frank?
I think I checked online. There's a few expensive tickets left.
Well, the way I see it is this. I just finished listening to the Shane McMahon interview that he conducted recently, and even he said, you know, it's possible we could sell it out. You know, I don't know if it's going to happen, which means even he knows.
Well, some of those ticket prices are ludicrous. They're like $2,500 plus.
Shit.
I saw one ticket was like for $10,000. Yeah.
For what?
Like a floor ticket.
A floor ticket to WrestleMania is $10,000.
I think I don't know if
I think that a ticket to the Mayweather Pacquiao fight was less than that.
I don't know. Maybe it was an auction. I don't know. I saw it somewhere.
I don't know. I don't care. All I know is this. The way WrestleMania is shaping up, NXT TakeOver Dallas is going to be better. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about NXT.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, which is a match I am really looking forward to. You know, the last time they wrestled was at TakeOver London, I believe it was called. And I absolutely loved it because Samoa Joe was my absolute favorite from TNA. You know, he was the only reason I watched TNA to begin with. I heard about the matches he was having with Kurt Angle, who is my 4th favorite wrestler of all time. Yes, Kurt Angle is my 4th favorite. I love him to death. Greatest technical wrestler to ever grace the ring. And Samoa Joe went in there with him and had incredible matches, and it wasn't just because of it was because of the And Finn Balor, can't say enough about the man. Whenever he does come up to the main roster, he will be my favorite. You know, my friends have this thing. It's called Jimmy Mania because they know the guys I'm really behind: Undertaker, Sting, Macho Man, Kurt Angle, Daniel Bryan. Those are my top 5 of all time. Honorable mention, number 6. I have to mention him because the WWE 2K16 just released the DLC for my favorite incarnation of him, which is Jake the Snake Roberts. He is my 6th favorite of all time. That guy could cut promos like nobody's fucking business. He was incredible on the mic, and he was a damn good character. But when Finn Balor comes up, he will become my favorite because I look at him and I see dollar signs. From a business perspective, I look at Finn Balor and I say to myself, this guy can make the WWE a shit ton of money. You know, and anyone that wants to turn around and say all these guys that have wrestled all over the world can't make them any money because they don't look like stars because they don't have 350 pounds of muscle. Last I checked, Samoa Joe, his first night in NXT, sold out in a matter of minutes. AJ Styles, his T-shirt was sold out in a matter of minutes. Same thing with Prince Devitt, a.k.a. Finn Balor. When he first came in, his first T-shirt sold out. There's a reason for that, because people know who these guys are. Right or wrong, Frank?
Oh, I agree.
Well, look at Kevin Owens. When he came onto the main roster and he beat Cena, that KO shirt was sold out. I bought 2 of Kevin Owens' first 2 T-shirts. I had to wait for both of them to come because they were both on back order. What does that tell you?
Well, he was.
I can't make these things up because I know I had to fucking wait for the shirt to come in the mail. But I'm looking forward to that. Connor's going to be facing Bayley for the women's championship. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping that Connor takes the title. Much as I really like Bayley, she's one of my favorites from the 4 Horsewomen. I just look at Connor and I say to myself, that woman is a dangerous bitch, and I just don't see anyone being able to credibly beat her. But if Bayley manages to squeak out a victory, like with a roll-up or a small package, I ain't going to get mad at it. Not going to get mad at it. Think about this. Think about the difference between NXT and the WWE. NXT listens to their audience. They push the guys the people are behind. And they give you matches where no matter who wins, you're satisfied. Now let's talk about another match that no matter who wins, the fans are going to be fucking satisfied. Shinsuke Nakamura, baby.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. My favorite man. Shinsuke Nakamura, the king of strong style, is going to be facing Sami Zayn.
So tell us a little bit about his background, James.
Okay, well, this guy's been wrestling in Japan for years. Years. He's been an IWGP champion. He was the Intercontinental champion over in the IWGP and had incredible matches with guys like Ibushi, who's a really good athlete. You guys should check him out. He's had great matches with AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. He has wrestled Brock Lesnar when Brock was over in Japan, and they had a pretty damn good fucking match. Obviously, Nakamura's dream opponent for the WWE was to wrestle Daniel Bryan, but with his retirement, that's never going to happen. And but there are plenty of guys that Nakamura could wrestle and have great matches with. I mean, he could wrestle Brock now, and they'd probably have a kick-ass match. Brock has all the respect in the world for the Japanese wrestlers because it's a different world over in Japan. They take the shit seriously, and that's why I have a lot of respect for the New Japan because they take the business seriously. It's not a fucking joke to them.
Let me ask a question. What happened to Hideo Itami and
shoulder injury,
Sami Zayn,
surgery,
and Sami Zayn? Where are these guys?
Sami Zayn is already back on NXT. He's been back, Frank.
Oh, really? I haven't paid attention.
He wrestled that one match with Cena because it was in...
Hideo has been having complications with his surgery or whatever. That's what came out recently. So
he's no John Cena, I'll tell you that. And what's going on with Austin Aries?
He's debuting next week, and he's facing Corbin at the Takeover special.
He'll probably carry Baron Corbin to the best match of his life.
What do you think his future is?
Austin Aries?
Yeah.
The greatest man that ever lived.
Well, I'll say, what do you think his future is? Is he going to make an impact on the main roster?
He should. The only reason he won't is if something gets in the way, like injury or stupid politics. Because let me paint a picture for you guys. Shinsuke Nakamura, Austin Aries, Sami Zayn, Kana, all these people, there is no reason for them to not make any impact on the main roster unless something gets in the way. I look at a guy like Kevin Owens when he first came onto the main roster and he beat John Cena clean. People were automatically envisioning him wrestling Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, or The Undertaker, or Triple H.
Was this Kevin Owens? Kevin Owens you're talking about?
When he first beat John Cena,
well, yeah,
he had that victory. And, he had that notch in his belt. When he first won, before they fed him to Cena, people were taking him seriously. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, because he was booked so strong in NXT, and he was believable in NXT.
Because they booked him, because Triple H knows how to book Kevin Owens. And Vince McMahon obviously has no fucking clue how to book Kevin Owens.
What about this?
The way I look at Kevin Owens in NXT, and Nick, you could clarify this for me because I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think Kevin Owens cheated to win a single match in NXT, including when he won the title. Right or wrong?
No, he beat Sami Zayn to a pulp.
Now, could you imagine, Frank, envision this for a minute? Because I don't believe that guys like Cena, Orton, Brock, Taker, they don't need to be protected because they're already legends, so they don't need protection. But imagine if this was the finish to Battleground, the final match between Kevin Owens and Cena for the belt. Let's say, just me thinking off the cuff here, Cena goes for that abomination of a springboard stunner. Owens moves it out of the way, and Cena hits his head on the mat.
Yeah.
Right? Kevin Owens hits him with the pop-up powerbomb. Cena kicks out. He hits him with another one. Cena kicks out, but then Cena had a faraway look in his eyes. And Kevin Owens proceeds to powerbomb Cena again and again and again until the referee looks at Cena and says, stop the match. So this way, Cena doesn't get pinned or made to submit, but the referee has to stop the match. So Cena is protected, so that way he's not pinned or made to submit. But Kevin Owens looks like a badass motherfucker who beat John Cena so bad the referee had to stop the match.
Wow.
Now,
he really
what is Kevin Owens after a victory like that? Even after him getting pinned at the pay-per-view beforehand, which could have been forgiven.
That would make him a made man. That would make him a made man.
Now, why is it that guys like us can think of these things, but the people that run that company are incapable of doing so?
Because they don't want Kevin Owens to be a made man.
Why don't they want him to be a made man? Because they didn't make him. Right. Kevin Owens got his fucking major league push on the independents. Think about this for a second. You know who two of Kevin Owens' biggest fans are? I've mentioned this on the show before, but I'll mention it again. I don't give a shit. Take a guess who are two of Kevin Owens' biggest fans. The Rock and Stone Cold. When Kevin Owens was on the independents, whenever The Rock would come back to the WWE, he would hunt down Kurt Hawkins and ask him for all the footage he could find on Kevin Steen because The Rock was a fan.
Right.
Rock's admitted this. Kevin Owens was making such big waves in the independents that Stone Cold Steve Austin went to ask him to be on his show.
Right, and also there's a story Kevin Owens says that he reached out to Stone Cold about tips on his promos. And Austin told him, just keep talking, always keep flapping your gums. That's why, if you notice now, Kevin Owens, he's always talking during the matches. He abuses Michael Cole.
Oh, anytime someone abuses Michael Cole, I fucking love it because I look at that dude and I say to myself, Daniel Bryan was spot on. A poor man's excuse for Jim Ross.
Nah, don't even mention it. Can you
imagine how much better WrestleMania 30 would have been if JR was calling that fucking event? Could you imagine JR calling the match between Bryan and Triple H?
So much better.
Oh my God! I could just imagine what JR would have said. You know, when the Undertaker lost the Shriek, how emotional JR probably would have made that whole experience more than it was, and that was emotional for me.
Well, that's another guy they hate, Jim Ross.
Yeah. Because he's a wrestling fan. That's why. You're not supposed to like wrestling. You're supposed to like the entertainment aspect of it. And meanwhile, the only reason that guys like Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon, who are ashamed that they're in the wrestling business, the only reason they have the money they have, the only reason they live in the houses they do, the only reason their kids went to the schools that they did was because it was paid for by the professional wrestling fans. If you don't believe me, watch Dusty Rhodes' fucking Hall of Fame speech. He said it. Any house I ever owned, any car I ever rode in, any school that I ever sent my kids to was paid for by the fans of professional wrestling. You're gonna argue with the Dream? No way, baby. Love Dusty Rhodes, that fucking bionic elbow. Please, could you imagine someone trying to hand Dusty a script back in the 70s?
Oh, come on.
Dusty would have looked at him and said, "You crazy baby.
You can't. That's silly.
I'm free." Hell,
Did you hear about this tournament they're gonna have WWE with the lightweights with the cruiserweights?
yes, I heard about that. Triple H is
it's an open.
trying to reach out to a couple different promotions to have this one night.
It's an open invitation. It's an open invitation.
One night deal. I think he's trying to reach out to all these different promotions. Hey, listen. Obviously, Triple H has his finger on the pulse. He's grabbing all these guys that people actually enjoy watching. You think Vince McMahon's the one that signed Kevin Owens? You think he was the one that brought in AJ Styles?
Well, he gives the okay, but...
He gives the okay, but who reaches out to them?
Yeah, I'm
guys
sure...
like Triple H and William Regal.
I'm sure he tells them it's on your head if he fails or something like that.
Well...
But yeah, this open tournament, it's good. It highlights athletic, popular, good in-ring workers that people want to see.
Absolutely, I got no problem with that. I would love to see the WWE get Ricochet, who's Prince Puma on Lucha Underground.
Yeah, he's still under contract though.
Yeah, he's going to be under contract with them for a while. Which, another thing, guys, for anyone that's watching, you get a chance, you got to check out Lucha Underground. That shit is fucking incredible. I showed my my fiance the Ultima Lucha that they had that was main evented by Prince Puma and Mil Muertes. That fucking show was incredible with Vampiro and
that's an actual TV show portraying wrestling. It's not a wrestling show.
Yeah, but it's an incredible show.
It's a good
storylines. And you want to know what I love about Lucha Underground? It gives me the three things I ask for in pro wrestling. It gives me characters to care about, storylines that keep me on the edge of my seat, and they don't insult my intelligence.
Okay. All right, let's close it out with the Hall of Fame. The Godfather's going in. Is he worthy?
That sums it up.
Really?
Don't get me wrong. I have all the respect in the world for Charles Wright. Busted his ass in the wrestling business.
He's had some memorable characters. Papa
Does
Shango.
he deserve the induction? Yes, he does.
What was his name? What was his name in the Nation's nomination?
Papa.
Yeah.
And he was also Papa Shango.
Yes, that was a pretty good heel. And who else is going in this year so far?
Sting.
Sting.
And the Godfather so far.
You had to think that the Freebirds are going to be the tag team.
You know what?
Freebirds should have been in years ago.
Okay, you know what?
When they did WrestleMania 25 in Texas, they should have inducted the Freebirds right there on the fucking spot.
Do you know this? The rumor why they're not going in is because they have all the footage of them with the Confederate flags.
Oh my
God!
Oh no, yeah, that's think about it. They can't show all those.
Are they kidding me? The whole reason you're not putting the fucking Freebirds in is due to Confederate flags.
James, that's a dirty word these days. They could get major backlash.
I doubt it. It's just one little thing. I mean, they keep it on the network, so.
I mean, they would have to edit out all those.
But that's ridiculous.
Listen,
it was their character.
I know that, and that was in the early '80s.
And if people listen, you want to know something? I was listening to this other radio show earlier this week, and they gave a great quote that I actually agree with, and the WWE should use this as philosophy when they're writing their storylines. If you have time to be offended, you have too much time.
Today, everybody's offended.
Well, then everyone needs to grow fucking set the balls, because that's ridiculous. You're not going to induct one of the most innovative and one of the most influential trios in the history of the business, all because they used to wear rebel flags. Guess what? Next show, I'm wearing a T-shirt with a rebel flag. What are they going to do? They're going to kick me off fucking YouTube? Fuck that shit.
No,
it's a fucking flag. Give me a break.
It's supposed to represent racism.
They're dumb. But listen, to get on track, I have no problem with Charles Wright. Remember the BSK Club? I got no problem with him. However, there are people much more deserving that haven't been put in. Like, I don't know, British Bulldog belongs to go in. Brian Pillman should go in. Jim the Anvil Neidhart should go in. Dare I say it, Owen fucking Hart?
Yeah, well, that's his...
Owen Hart.
Well, that's out of their control. It's his wife.
No, his wife is a fucking bitch.
Hey, it's his wife.
I could care less. I want Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be honored for his contributions to the business. The guy friggin' gave his entire life to the business. He was a great friggin' performer. People loved watching him. And I guarantee you, if the day ever comes that he does get inducted, a lot of people are going to be happy.
Oh, yeah, it's a big thing.
Let me see. Who else should be in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. They're in Texas. Why not Ravishing Rick Rude?
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Jesus Christ. The Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, Jim Cornette, they all belong in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, did you see
How about
Cornette?
the Big Boss Man? He belongs in. How about Jesus Christ, Bam Bam Bigelow? He belongs in.
Brody.
How about they're in Texas? Gary Hart, down in WCCW. He was one of the best bad guy managers that they had. How about, is Kamala in? No,
Nope.
he belongs in. The fucking I mean, Jesus Christ, what was the other?
Who's your friend, Nick?
That's my brother.
Oh my God! When it comes to this Hall of Fame, it absolutely drives me fucking bonkers. They're these guys that fucking belong in, but they're not.
Nick, is he a wrestling fan, your brother?
He was the one that initially got me in because
Oh, yeah?
he was a fan when he was real young.
So, like what? What was?
Was is the key word, and he was smart enough to get out of it.
What was the first match you saw that made you a wrestling fan?
And that's how we'll close it out. We're going to ask each other that same question. Nick, you go first.
Your earliest memories.
so
Your earliest memories.
Earliest memory.
I don't think it was so much a match. It was like I was watching the 15th anniversary during the whole Triple H and McMahon segment. That was like the first thing I remember ever. Like the first match would be like Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy. When Jeff Hardy did that crazy-ass swanton off the
Also, you became a fan in like 2008. Ooh, you missed a lot, Nick.
I feel so old.
I feel old myself. Frank, what's your earliest memories of professional wrestling?
Oh, I remember flipping from cartoons to Channel 9 in the mornings, and I started watching the Channel 9 show in the morning, and I caught it right when the Iron Sheik was beating up Bob Backlund, and they actually showed the Iron Sheik making Bob Backlund submit, and Arnold going through the towel, and I was like, yeah, that was
memory.
Yeah, and I was so sad, and then right the next week, Bob Backlund was getting beat up by the Samoans, and he went to the back and he brought out Hulk Hogan, and the crowd went nuts, and that's it.
I'm getting goosebumps. Look at that. Holy shit.
If you could go on YouTube, you see that when he brings out Hulk Hogan, his first appearance, the crowd goes nuts, and Hulk Hogan just gets in the ring and he beats him.
Well, because Hulk Hogan was already embraced by the American wrestling fans when he was in the AWA. When Hulk Hogan was in the AWA and he was challenging Nick Bockwinkel, who was managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan, Hulk Hogan was universally over. And by the time he got to New York, Vince knew he was over. That's why he got him. And I guarantee you this, that if Hulk wasn't over, you know who Vince would have tried to get? Who were we talking about earlier? The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby.
Yeah, that was Plan B.
Because let me tell you something, Dusty sold a shit ton of tickets. Shit ton of tickets. People would pay money hand over fist to see the Dream drop an elbow. Baby. Now, we'll finish off with me. My earliest memories of professional wrestling dates back to my father. Great man that he is. My earliest memory of professional wrestling, and I'm going to use my phone for the effect. My dad took me to Madison Square Garden. I'm looking back on this finally because it was such a great, I remember it vividly. I remember my dad was telling me, "You're going to like this, James. You're going to have a good time." I'm like, okay. My dad brings me to the matches.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
And, you know, and I was looking, you know, I knew who some of the guys were. You know, I was looking for Macho Man because Macho Man was the guy that got me, you know, into it a little bit because I saw the commercials of him doing his stuff with the action figures. If you remember, back in the day, they used to do the Hasbro commercials with the toys.
Yes.
So the Macho Man do that. So technically, that was my first exposure to wrestling. But actually being at an event, seeing a show, my dad took me to MSG, and he said, "You're going to see a lot of guys you're going to like. Trust me, you're going to have a good time." And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting next to my grandfather, Luigi, who was with me. And the next thing I knew, I heard this.
The gongs.
Oh, the chills just went up and down my spine. Ooh.
And this is when what you met him or something?
Old. That's the original. Actually, no, that's the Undertaker's second entrance team, and I saw this motherfucker walk out.
Did you meet him? Did you said you
No,
met
I
him?
didn't get to meet him. But this is. Hang on, we're getting there. And I saw this guy walk out, and I had the camera in my hand, and I just snapped a shot. He walks to the ring. He cuts a promo. The lights are dim. The gong goes off. He starts to leave. Now, if you remember, Taker never really shook a lot of kids' hands back in the day.
Right, yeah,
that was never his thing. But while he was going towards the curtain, he was grabbing a couple of kids' hand. I stuck my hand out to him, and he shook my hand.
And you became a fan for life.
And that's the picture that I took of him. Hang on, let me move this.
Back it up a little bit, because the lights, yeah.
All right, how's that?
Better. Tilt it forward. Forward. Yes.
That is the picture that I took of The Undertaker in 1993. And obviously, as you can see, I met the man myself. And yes, he is wearing a T-shirt with Muhammad Ali and Elvis Presley. So he's got great taste in fighters and even greater taste in musicians.
James, was his hand ice cold?
I could smell the formaldehyde from outside the building.
I love seeing that.
I'll tell you, and I mentioned this on the show when I first met him. When I met him, I brought that picture with me. And I told him, you know, I took this picture of you in 1993 at Madison Square Garden. And he took the picture from me, and he held it for about 30 seconds. And he's like, "You kept this picture all this time?" I said, "Of course I did. I always hoped I would get to meet you." And he looked at me and he said, I can't believe it." And then I showed him the tattoo. He thought it was the coolest shit he ever seen. His words, Mark Calloway's words, not mine. And I told him, I said, "Thank you." And then he gets up from his fucking chair, all 7 feet of him, and he's like, "No, thank you." I shook his hand, walked away, and I started bawling like a baby. I am no shame in admitting that. Look, I can't stop the smile because I got to meet the man.
No, it's cool.
I met the most respected wrestler since Andre the Giant. And, hang on, I don't mind sharing this on air. This is the Book of Fame. This is where all my autographs are now, because as you can see, I took all of them down. The autographs are gone. After you know, a couple things went down, I just couldn't. I said I need to take a lot of them down. I kept the belts up because they're a good feature. Frank, tell me, what's that?
The 8th wonder of the world.
And what's that next to him?
His autograph? Listen, that's worth a lot of money.
So's this one.
Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, yeah. Save those. Those should be in glass, not plastic. And Paul Bearer.
That's actually signed to me. One day we have to do a video, Frank, just going through all these autographs and talking about each of them. Obviously, Andre's the rarest of them. But I want to share another rare one that I actually have here. Actually, Nick is going to like this one. Nick, pay attention, buddy, because I know you like the old stuff. This is the Nature Boy Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Ric Flair actually signed this one to me, as you can see.
The Enforcer.
And that's Ole Anderson, along with J.J. Dillon and Tully Blanchard. The original Four Horsemen, baby. That's the original Four Horsemen. Long before the best incarnation of them came, which was when they kicked when they kicked Ole Anderson out.
And brought in Barry
They
Windham.
brought in Luger, but then after Luger, it was Barry Windham.
Yeah, I think he was the best replacement.
Barry Windham was a great addition to that team. I think he was an excellent friggin' technician. I would go so far as to say Barry Windham was one of the most naturally gifted athletes to ever step into that ring. Now, the one I wanted to show you, and then we'll end it here. I don't mean to. I can't help it. Whenever I bust this book out, I'm fucking happy. You should have seen my father when we got the Andre one in the mail with the certificate of authenticity.
Oh yeah, that's a big one, man.
Oh my God! I mean, I actually held that autograph in my hands for a while, and I had tears coming down my face, saying, "Wow."
If you auctioned that on eBay, you could probably get $5,000 for that. No. Somebody would pay $5,000 for that.
It's like when I got the Road Warriors autograph. This woman was giving away her son's autographs. She didn't know what the fuck she had. I almost felt guilty buying that one. Almost is the key word.
Yeah, somebody posted today that Paul Bearer's Hall of Fame ring was on
Porn Stars. Yeah, I heard about that.
It's everything is all about the value is all about the illusion of importance. Now,
well,
Paul Bearer's ring.
These are not things that I'm looking to sell, though. That's
I know. I'm saying, but like, let's say you bought Paul Bearer's ring. Like, what are you gonna do with it? Like,
exactly. What are you gonna do?
Tell people, hey, Paul Bearer.
All right. Here's the last one I'm showing for the night.
Who's that, Mr. Perfect?
Yes, it is. It's a poster, really. It's really a poster, and his autograph.
It's an NWO poster.
Yes, and his autograph's down here by his chest. That's when he was part of the NWO, but it's Mr. Perfect's autograph.
You should be seeing those in glass.
Well, unfortunately,
or at least a vacuum seal, food saver bag.
Unfortunately, Frank, I don't have the room to put them all up. Number one, and number two, I just can't afford to do all that right now. But trust me when I tell you, I'm getting married in a year. You know,
well, maybe you could invest in one of those vacuum food saver bags and seal them so they get airtight. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hey, that's definitely something to.
No, yeah, it's only cost like $120, and yeah, because over time those are gonna get they're gonna lose their.
Yes, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But
well, God forbid there's a leak or something happens, you never know.
Oh, don't worry. I have these things in a very safe place.
They're in his fort.
They're in a very safe place. Believe me when I tell you.
Are they nuclear proof?
Though the Book of Fame, and actually, you guys know how artistic my little sister is.
Yes.
She's actually in the process of making me a customized cover, which I will reveal on the show live on Talk Wrestling with Jimmy and Frank. For 0.00 a month.
Why don't you give her a plug? What's her?
No, oh yeah, let me plug her out. Her Twitter handle is Art by Faluca. That's her handle on Twitter. That's her handle on Instagram. She's an exceptional artist.
Yes. Didn't she get a compliment from Bray Wyatt?
She's gotten compliments from Bray Wyatt, Chris Jericho, all four of the horsewomen.
Didn't they retweet her?
A lot of them retweet her stuff. Like, I'll give you guys an example, and then we have to wrap up.
Yes.
When she met Bray Wyatt, when she went to meet him, he got up from his chair, and his words were, "I know who you are, honey.
Yeah.
You make the yin yang." He knew who the fuck she was.
Listen, she should like inquire to the WWE headquarters and maybe get a little position, you know?
Oh, listen, if she ever got a job with them, you know, to do something artistically, whether it's making...
She could just be
She actually made, believe this or not, she actually made Bray Wyatt a customized T-shirt, and he wore it in an interview outside of WWE.
Yeah, once her name gets circulated, they could sell those, you know?
No, of course, it's just like the guy Rob Schamberger. The guy makes incredible works of art. You know, don't get me wrong, he's on a completely different level. He's probably been doing it way longer than her, but she's only 22 years old, and she's already busting out works of art that, Frank, I'm good when it comes to art, when it comes to poetry, but my stick figures suck. This kid's incredible.
No,
I'm not just saying it because she's my kid. She's fucking incredible.
No, she's got talent.
Yeah, well, gentlemen, it's been a complete pleasure. Like I said, I will be hosting NXT TakeOver Dallas. I hope Frank is able to actually be here.
Is that on a Saturday or Sunday?
I will actually be able to tell you right now, Frank. Hold on 1 minute.
I
'Cause
think it's Friday, April 1st.
I actually do. I think Nick is correct. I think it actually is a Friday, Frank.
Oh, so that's good.
It is April 1st, and it is on a Friday. You think it's doable, Frank?
Yeah, definitely. I have no class. That's probably my spring break too.
Ooh, spring
You
break.
better.
Frank, you just said the magic word. It's spring break.
Yeah, but I'm sure I'll get loaded with assignments and stuff. They always do that, scumbags.
Wait a minute. We gotta end this night the right way. It's spring break. So that means all you girls between 18 and 28 come to the Marriott
Oh
at
my God.
12 o'clock at night because the Horseman and the Nature Boy Rick
Oh
Flair
God.
waiting on you. Mr. Nick Perkins, and we got Staying All Night Frank Tardona, and we got the Nature Boy. Happy birthday, Ric Flair. Guys, this was fun. This was probably my favorite goal. Look, Frankie's cracking up. I love it.
He's sick.
Come on. If I knew I wouldn't get laughed off stage, I'd drop an elbow right now on my computer.
You did that at your engagement party.
Fellas, you have a good night. Take
All
care.
right.
Take care.